This question right here is a fiscal and budget question that I have to get more versed on in terms of how the school system is ascertaining its funds and how they expedite those funds. And that's something that, right now in this process of running for school board, I'm learning more of. So in order to adequately and accurately answer this question, I have to get more versed on the subject matter.
Well, what should be done, the major thing that I think should be done is we should, the stages is assistance and all, but we are unfortunately one of the last townships to hand in the paperwork. So the administrative people should make sure that the paperwork is in. This year the state gave it a little extra, but we also lost one of the bonds because we didn't have the paperwork in. And what we have to do is make sure that the board is doing their job. The superintendent's doing his job. If everybody does their job, we should have no problems. The other thing is we should do a sharing program with the township itself and other school districts. By sharing program, I mean electrician. Maybe the school has an electrician, the township might not. Let the township use the electrician and help pay for the bills, the hourly rates, his salary, his benefits. Also, sharing with other school districts and buying supplies, janitorial supplies, cafeteria supplies, books, and all that. That would help lower the finances of the township.
Number one is an itemized budget. I don't like the way the school district does their budget because it'll just say like Ewing High Sports. It'll allot so much money for that. I want to see how much you're spending on what kind of item. I don't want to see somebody spending $80 for a football that you could buy somewhere else for $14. That's ridiculous. Eliminate the gangs in Ewing, which is a big thing in the schools now. And class size.
This has been stated at many, many meetings or community groups that I have been involved in, and that should be to try and increase the Ewing ratables. Sure, the construction going on now at Princeton North, large office complex, etc., that's fine, and that will bring in plenty of ratables. But I think Ewing should look through the township, through the Board of Ed, more ratables. The GM plant has been closed for years. Nothing has been done there. When something was done and GM sold some of their property to the New Jersey Credit Union, the building was built, a beautiful building, and you have ratables coming in. You have the naval turbine. You can look at that. You can look at other areas in Ewing where we could bring in ratables that would lower our taxes. And I am not, my wife's the same thing, she taught in public schools, with defeating budgets, because since I've been here in 1956, my wife and I have always voted yes in the budget. So that gives a whole picture of my feelings of the Ewing Township Public Schools.
I think that we should look into backing the semi-pro football team that might be coming into Ewing High School, renting it, making some money there, and maybe look into maybe consolidating some of the buildings in the township to save some money, then we can rent them out and make some money there.
That's a tough one. All we have to do is look at the cost of energy everywhere. It's really a tough situation to find an answer to lessening the cost of Ewing schools. One of my feelings that may be workable is to be able to join with maybe 3, 4, 5 districts. Keep your own personality, but just in the case of purchase of fuel, purchase that fuel in bulk And right there, you would have to have a decrease in costs, just because this is what they do in pharmaceuticals and so forth and so on. To say other things would be pie in the sky.
That's actually a pretty broad question. There's several areas where we can improve the finances of the school. The first one I think we need to focus on is increasing sources of revenue. The usual ones from state and federal sources are there, but there are also opportunities to take advantage of grants and endowments and other sources of alternative funding as well. So we need to exploit those as those opportunities present themselves. Kind of next in line, I expect, is to decrease costs. We can do that through operating efficiencies, cost controls, fee-based services. We also can do that through renegotiation, negotiation for outsourced services, and consideration where possible of bringing things back in-house and doing them ourselves where we can do it more cost-effectively. We also need to continue to negotiate savings through collective bargaining and possibly reduce costs associated with transportation routes through renegotiations there. We also have opportunities to reduce our debt service costs. We're in an unusually good place right now in the market where we have a solid debt rating, a solid credit rating. We can use that to renegotiate at favorable terms, reduce our expenses on an annual basis by doing so, and we'll be looking to do that in the near future. I also wanted to share with you what's already happening. We're pretty fortunate to have, as a district, a great team administratively, and Ray Broach and Mike Nitti and Dennis Nettleton. Together they're quite a powerful team that has influence not just within the district but also in the State House and also federally. They've made great strides there. We have actions underway in all the areas that I mentioned before. We're looking to expand both the sources of revenue and the amount of revenue that we receive. We're looking to tightly control costs and limit expenditures, and we're continuing to seek negotiated wins at the bargaining table. We were quite successful last year with the renegotiations with the ETEA, and I believe that it's setting the tone for future negotiations as we move forward. And we're also seeking approval for debt reductions. We require both the approval of the township as voters, and we also need the approval of Commissioner of Education to do some of these things. But these are opportunities for us to save money on an ongoing basis, and we're doing those things today, and you'll be seeing some of that possibly as we come closer to the election. So those are the things I think that are before us in terms of opportunities. They require continued vigilance on our part in all of these areas to make it happen, but I believe we're going to be very successful in doing so.
Well, first of all, we have done some improvements as an incumbent. I'm pleased to say I've been part of it. Number one is that we've gone ahead and we've had increases in the budget, but we've been able to hold the property tax flat. Primarily is we have to continue our lobbying efforts, and we have to get the state CFA formula, or the new formula that's being developed, fully funded. State Department of Education, in their own report, issued in October, I believe it was, of last year, was in the Trent Times, indicated Ewing was $2.9 million short in their budget. That was the State Department. And until we get that particular component phased, until we get the other legislation on the federal level, No Child Left Behind, the special education funding, when they're fully funded and the appropriations are made by the governing bodies, we're going to continue to go ahead and experience problems. We're going to have to continue to go ahead. And it's been a great community lobbying effort from parents, from school officials to government officials. We've had great support from our national senators, where we have grants right now before them, from our Congress people, and also our state legislatures. So they've all been pulling together. But we got to get that basic formula changed and altered and funded. That's basically what we're talking about. When that happens, we're going to go ahead. If we had $2.9 million under the CFA formula this year, okay, just imagine where we would be in the programs that we would be able to achieve and do. And we won't have to operate under the spare budget. And there's a sensitivity to the taxpayer. I can understand concerns of not wanting to see property taxes increase. We're not a wealthy community, so we have to continue that positive efforts with everybody involved. No particular part. It's a nonpartisan issue.